Gino's second day in primary school. Working on getting him to move off my leg, etc. We've got more of an official hackamore on him today, although this one's pretty old. Anybody out there making hackamores would like me to use their hackamore in the video, feel free to get on to me, that'd be great. This one's pretty worn out. So I do this with young horses and old horses. You know, there's a little bit of just walking around and surveying the situation before we do anything too technical. And we're going to launch straight into what we were doing yesterday. So we'll probably start with back end and then front end and see how long it takes him to get back to where we left off. Okay. So we had a few good little steps in there early on, and I was nearly going to quit on them. But I just wanted to make sure it sort of wasn't, you know, too subtle. So, you know, say he tried, but could have done a bit more. They're a little bit more clear cut. And I was just about to stop, and then he stalled again, so it's a bit unfortunate. All right, let's quit on that. So timing wise, you know, we moved him across, leg off, leg on, leg off, leg on, leg off. But I want that feeling that he's ready to take another step, and then I quit. So the time before I was thinking about it, and he'd sort of decided he'd done enough, but he made the decision to stop, not me, so I had to keep going. That applies to a backup quite a bit. Some horses will back up and people will go, well, you know, they've probably done enough, and the horse is deciding to pull up. There we go. So once again down this arena we got a bunch of distractions, but anyway. A bunch of horses coming in down over there to work in the other arena. And you'll hear me cluck going sideways and you hear me cluck going backwards. So for me, it's kind of whatever I'm indicating for that horse to do. I'd like them to put a little bit more energy into it. So in the case of going sideways, you know, he's stopping or he's starting to slow down. Well, rather than me kicking him or tapping him with a stick or something, I'm clocking that, you know, like we're doing that, just put a little bit more energy and speed into it. We're going forwards, going backwards, going sideways, same thing. So he worked off the left leg, and like I said, this is the very next day. This is day 2 of teaching him to get off my leg and do those sort of things. So he's pretty close to picked up where we left off yesterday. Just a nice job off that left leg, so we'll swap over to the right. Alright, we'll quit on that. So a lot of bend to the right then, which I'm not fond of. I try to get out of that as early as possible, so even at this stage there's a bit of that. He's had no lunging again before we ride. There we go. Very breezy day down here today. Had a few bits of rain and showers, and I guess breeze has come along with the change of weather to blow all the rain away. Alright, I'll squeeze this right leg on again, off. Good. So lots of big steps across. Again, would have been nicer for him just a little straighter, but not too, obviously very, very early in the piece to be worried about those sort of things. Oh. So we've done some to the left. Another bit of a test for him is to just go straight back the other way. Obviously a good pause in between. Good boy. There we go. G'day, thank you so much for watching. If you could like, share, subscribe, turn on the notifications bell, that would be awesome. Thank you. Cheers. This time we'll drive him to the right. And whoa to me means stop. Like if I'm going sideways or forward, whoa means stop. If I'm going back, whoa means stop. It's like whatever you're doing, stop moving your feet. Some people say whoa when they're backing their horse up, as in, you know, they stop their horse and then they back up to reinforce that forward motion should have stopped. But they say whoa while they're doing it. And, I will do that. If he did a lousy stop later on in his training, I might back him up to say, hey, you got to put more effort in than that. But I don't say whoa the whole time, because most horse people reaction around a horse when they're doing something they don't like, they want them to stop, is they yell, whoa, whoa, whoa. And if you stop and your horse backs up and you don't want them to, and you're a little panicky, people are more inclined to be starting to yell out, whoa. So whoa to me only has one meaning, and that is whatever you're doing, stop. Doesn't matter where you're going, stop moving your feet. There we go. It's also important, you know, people riding around, they say steady and easy. And some people will say, whoa, in that instance. I won't. I really want to save that for stop. And obviously horses are pretty clued up, like he's feeling me riding along. I can say the word and he's not necessarily thinking stop, because my body's still riding him forward, my legs are still riding him forward. I kind of have to say whoa with some body language as well. That's nice. And so he's kind of reacting there rather than thinking. It's interesting, like he thought about it better earlier, but that happens, you know. He's distracted by the other horses walking around and everything else going on. And early on, he kind of went, oh, left leg means right, right leg means left. You know, he's moving away from the pressure. But because he was a little distracted, he just felt leg. I'll do what I was just doing, which is quite a common thing. It's like a reaction is kind of a quick decision to what we're doing. A response is he thinks about it, comes up with the right answer. That's nice. Whoa. And we have the same little lock up there. He went to the right, and then we're saying let's go back to the left, and he's going, oh, well, I was just leg meant go that way, right? Not thinking about which leg and which direction. Just sort of making a few assumptions, which is why, you know, early on it was all in one direction and all the other way. And if he gets really stuck or bothered, we will go back to going, you know, back end. You know, start manipulating his head a little bit more to help, you know, move your head this way, rump that way to help him out. Because again, he's only a baby and he gets distracted and he's not really doing anything wrong. He's just not thinking things through maybe as good as we'd like. So if he needs a little help, give him a little help. So he got a little stuck. We're going to pull his head around and be a bit tougher and tell him to get over. There's a little bit of, you know, it comes across like he's feeling like he's done enough and he's protesting a little bit, just having to do some more. And the funny thing is, like, I always take that feedback. I never assume that I've always got everything sorted and everything's right, and I sort of take that feedback and it's like, yeah, sometimes you got to do these jobs. You know, sometimes you got to teach the horse to put up with doing it maybe a little longer than they'd like. You know, it's a start of creating a little bit of self-discipline and work ethic. There we go, we'll quit on that. Because he tried a lot harder that time to do a better job. So a little bit like yesterday, we've done a bit of side passing around. He could probably do with some just moving around and taking a little mental break. Going back and do some things that he's done before. The easier stuff for him before we start something else. Oh. So one thing they say about hackamores, and I'll probably do a video where I'll go over it, be a lot shorter video, but I'll just kind of incorporate a little bit into here, is hackamores and bosals, you never really get to pulling on straight back. I'm going to steer him around to help slow him down. And then when he's going the speed, so I might bend him with that rein and then use my outside rein to tuck him a little. But it's kind of an offset pull. And pull's not the right word either, it's just a hold. But we don't want to get to pulling on a bosal too much. I can stop him and kick his hind end out of gear, like we've done at various times along. Oh. It was a little bit like we mentioned that stop yesterday. He kind of stopped, but then he was veering off to the left a little bit at the end, so just stopping and flexing to the right. Stayed nice and square that time. Wouldn't have been good if he'd have just kept his nose down a little softer throughout the stop. So before, during and after the stop, I'd like him to stay soft. But I'm not too critical of that at this point. I'm just quietly asking for it, and we're only using an old Hackamore on him, so there's not too many ramifications for him not doing it. We're just trying to encourage all these behaviors at this point. So he's moved around off my leg and side passed. We'll set him up with a different puzzle here and keep him a little straighter. Put that outside leg on and see if we can encourage just his front end to step over. Yep, it's only a little baby step. Just going to do the same thing there. That was good. There's also a little bit going on like yesterday when he gets in a puzzle. He's thinking a lot about what's happening. Oh, that was a good one. Thinking a lot about what's happening to his nose rather than what my leg's doing on his side. But like we proved yesterday, he kind of got sideways and he got off my leg, and he's come straight out here today and done it. So the message is still getting through. Eventually he'll worry less about what's happening to his face and start to think more about what my leg's asking of his side. There we go. Let's do a little bit on the right side. And as we know, he's done a similar movement to this where we've, moved his hip out and then led his front end out the other way. We're just not quite setting him up the same way this time. But we're asking for that same movement. And again, he's sort of thinking, okay, my head's to the right, you've been side passing me like that, so maybe that's what you're after. Rather than thinking, it's actually the left leg that's on. There we go. And there's the release. So again, it's just a different little puzzle for him to solve. And because he's green, it's more a matter of just waiting and trying to make things as clear as we can. And I'm exaggerating, like my weight's going way out to this side to kind of open that door to the right. There we go. We'll obviously refine that as we go along. I love the expression, exaggerate to teach and refine as you go along. And it applies as much to people as it does to horses. Because you can know what to do, but you do, there we go, boom, straight across. But you have to train your body sometimes to do things with horses. With anything, I think, dancers, martial artists, gymnasts, all sorts of people. Occasionally they're going to exaggerate things just to get the movement pattern happening in their body so that they'll do it under stress. And by stress, I just mean pressure. It's in pressure of showing, pressure of your friends watching, pressure when all other horses go galloping through and you're riding a horse and your horse gets stressed out. What do you do under pressure situations? Nice. There we go. So stepping across, we're laying that outside rein across his neck, putting that outside leg on. Like we'd ask him to do a turn on the hind quarter if he was older and knew what we were talking about. There he goes. He steps over. That's good. Let's do one more. Cool. So I said at the start of this video, we're kind of doing what I call primary school now, which I don't know the terms all around the world, whether it's elementary school or, but we have school for little kids, and then the next school we go to is a bit bigger kids, where they kind of learning the basics. So when he's in little school, it's just like follow your nose. In primary school, we're starting to get him like, well, your nose is pointed that way, but there's pressure on that rein and that leg, so step your shoulder over there. So we're starting to direct his shoulders more than just pull his nose, which is much, much more efficient way to steer a horse. And of course, long term, we want to go one-handed. If we don't have shoulder control, we're in a lot of trouble. We need to keep those shoulders in the middle, keep them soft, be able to direct them wherever we want. That's good. I talked before, until he's moving off my leg, I can't frame him up at the same time. Because until it's very easy to just keep his shoulders here and he's tracking correct, it's hard for me to expect him to stay soft all the time. He's offering me soft when I'm just kind of letting him go where he wants to. But until I have great steering, I don't really want to, I'm keeping the two separate at the moment. So the other thing we'll do to help, and this is an exercise I do on all my horses long term, and this is the baby version. I'm going to do direct bends and counter bends. And basically it's almost direct rein and indirect rein. Like follow your nose, follow the rein. And when that rein comes across your neck, like your shoulders to go the other way. And because he's a kid, a step or two is more than enough. An older horse will go around for a circle or so. Reins on your neck, hands are over this side, shoulders need to go that way. And he's just got an inkling of that in the work we were just doing. So this one he knows. Follow my nose, go this way. Oh, now the rein's on my neck and that leg on my side. I need to go over there. So like everything we've done, it's just slowly extending, like this step leads to that step. And it's a logical progression. Logical progression for the horse, and it kind of makes sense because it's just stuff that he's got used to. So follow your nose, goes over here, step your shoulders that way. So in Western, we'd call that a neck rein, sending him over. In English, it's called a supporting rein. So it's basically using your outside rein and outside leg to contain his shoulders. And using leg aids to steer is more about helping him just be in a better, more balanced position. There's not really a set leg aid, like inside leg here is encouraging bend. So inside leg at the girth is encouraging bend to the left. If I move my hands over here and it suddenly becomes an outside leg, still the same leg, But because of my different hand position, you know, that leg suddenly meant it became an outside leg and it meant move your shoulders into the circle. And this kind of messes with people when I teach them, you know, and it's kind of, it doesn't make sense to people. So people like it when I say overflex to the inside, now go straight, now overflex to the outside. Horses, on the other hand, it's like, yep, inside rein, inside leg, I gotta bend around, follow my nose, and the hands go over there. Still the same leg, but my seat position's changed a little, body position's changed, and now all of a sudden he's doing a counterbend circle. So in English circles, they'd call that a counterflexion circle. And counter just meaning opposite. So we're deliberately making a right circle with a left bend. This one, like, I don't like their noses way to the inside, and I don't like their noses to the outside of the circle. But if I have control over my horse and I can do either, I can help him stay in the middle better. Oh. And we will do like a separate video on that, but I'll just quickly run through it here again. If I can have him go around the circle, flex to the inside and keep him there, but keep him out on the circle, or I can flex him to the outside and keep him in on the circle, I'm starting to get control of his shoulders and his nose. And I basically want him to stay in the middle with just a little bend. But if he's flexible enough and he's supple enough and he's listening to all my cues, I can keep him in the middle where I want him in a very soft, very easy fashion. So this is for control as well as for suppleness. And the other thing, like I said, I do it with horses every day. Just a little bit at the start. You do a little bit of a walk, a little bit at a jog. It's also, on top of everything else, a bit of a health check, because if I do it every day and all of a sudden one day, and he always does it really well, and one day I come out and he's really, really bad at one, chances are he's run around the paddock and fallen over and hurt himself, something's gone wrong. And he may not be marked up, but he's bruised or he's pulled a muscle, and I wouldn't necessarily be able to tell it otherwise. So it's a bit of a health check on top of everything else. So he's actually done a really good job with all of that, where he's kind of taken that suggestion where I've moved my hands over. So I've gone from side passing today to starting to pivot around his back end and starting to direct bend and counter bend. We're going to go back to that, just turn on the hind quarter and stepping his front end across. Nice. And this one's really important, even if you never wanted to do a rollback or a spin or a turn on the hind quarter. I think we've all ridden horses, you're going around the circle, you got their nose over here and they're still running off in the other direction. Well, that's a lack of shoulder control. If he was bent to the right and I lay that outside pressure on, I want to be able to push that shoulder over and get him to follow his nose. But if he was really supple and he wanted to run off to the stables, he'll run off like that. So if I haven't got that control, where I can lay that outside rein and leg on and push his shoulders back, I'm not going to have as nice a steering. At the end of the day, yep, we keep pulling that nose, he's eventually going to follow it. And when they're babies, that's all they know, that's all we've done, is like, you know, I'm here, follow your head sort of thing. But these last 2 days have been getting to Well, you know, I want you to look where you're going, but I want to start now pushing your shoulders and ribs around a little bit more. Nice. Very nice. So he's picked up on all of that really well. And he's also starting to think about, because all these pressures have been a little different and, you know, they've been a little bit here and there, he's starting to really focus in on what I'm doing rather than just make assumptions. So he's just getting more to think about. And I'm always looking for signs in the horse. Like yesterday we got some signs that he was like, yeah, I've had enough. You know, we're looking for a try and a good place to quit. And today he's kind of, you know, the more we give him, the more he seems to focus in and pay attention. But if he was having lots of troubles with those things, I'd do a bit less, or I may not do it at all. But it's funny, once you get them moving off your leg and you're getting both ends stepping over, to then start refining more about their front end, works pretty good. You know, it comes a lot easier. Anyway, he's done another great job. So we'll just stop him. Back him up. And again, holding my hands still, sitting back, driving him back with my feet. And he kind of knows what that's all about now. There we go. And even though I've stopped backing up, I still want him soft. So I said before, you know, I want him soft before the stop, during the stop, and after the stop. If I was going backwards, I want the same thing. I want him backing up soft, stopping soft, and standing soft. Like, I'm not using that to make him stop or make him back up. I'm really just using the headgear to help refine what he's doing. And if he was a proud horse showing off, because a lot of people will go, oh, that's very unnatural, you shouldn't do it. But if he was a proud horse showing off to another horse, he's going to tuck his nose in and arch his neck and prance, like he's actually going to take it a step further. So it's not an unnatural movement by any means. And it puts him in a position where he's, as collection means, is just getting him to go forward in a position ready to stop and turn and do whatever he needs to do. If he's just running and he's only thinking about running, he's going to run a whole lot different. But if he's going forward, ready to stop and turn and dodge and do all these kind of things, he's going to run forward a lot different. And there's also that aspect, there's a lot of people, like Western breeds especially, get criticized because their heads are down a bit. He's built that way. You can see where his neck comes out of his shoulders. He just offers his nose. That's where his head ends up. And a relaxed horse going around the paddock has got his head down. And we did a bit of this at the start, you know, with our groundwork, because that's part of getting him to, it's not really submit, but it's almost like a physical trick where you put your head down, you're more relaxed. So the reason we're looking for that flat headset while they're doing all these, you know, really high-end maneuvers is we'd like them to be relaxed doing it. The greatest thing you can kind of create is that horse that's doing high-level things and he just looks like he's playing and you happen to be on him and you're just working together having a great time. Anyway, he's doing good. I think I'm a better human for him today. No, I think I'm a pretty good human for him most days. But anyway, we'll give him a rub. For the same reason as always. And we'll catch you on the next one. G'day. Thank you so much for watching. If you could like, share, subscribe, turn on the notifications bell, that would be awesome. Thank you. Cheers.